Good morning, everybody, or I should say good day, whenever you want to watch this particular video. This is Mr. Gray. How are you? Um, is that better? I think that's better. Nobody's in my classroom right now, so I don't have to wear that. So, welcome. This is my classroom. This is room 222, and I'm going to just give you a little guided tour in regards to my, what I do with you with the kids, how long I've been here, and all that stuff. So, without further ado, let's move on. By the way, I can move my face around, by the way. I wanted to show you. Does that look like me? My Bitmoji over here on the right? I don't know. It was something kind of fun. But in any event, I'll move myself over to the side. Welcome. And this is the slide that I actually have the kids look at. So this presentation that you're going to see, I did this with the kids on the very first day of school. So told them to find their seat, look for the materials in the bag in the blue book. And then gold group, obviously, because we're in a hybrid model, they would get theirs the next day. Everybody in my class has either been in class, not in class, or totally not in class, but always online. So when I'm doing my classes are designed to have everybody in class, whether they're hybrid, home, or obviously here. So just to give you that structure of how I'm teaching the hybrid model, that's exactly it. Just keeping things simple. So kids need to log in at 8 whatever in the morning for their first core class and so forth. And as long as everybody's in the same room, whether they're here or online, that's pretty much how I'm conducting this particular class. So welcome. So let's move on to some of my slides here. So when they came in the very first day, my first thing is what we call a do now. And the do now, which is what you're seeing here, just ask the kids to literally click on. I had these attached in our Google Classroom just to tell me something about what they know about U.S. history. Just give me an idea of what they know, what their background knowledge is. But at the same time, also to see, how they respond to simple questions like this. Again, getting to know the kids. So they literally clicked on stuff like this. So if I were to click on, let's just say my Core 4 class, this popped up. And everybody had editing privileges, for instance. So they found their names and they literally just started typing stuff here regarding what they know about U.S. history. So again, have a really long response here, some very basic responses. But my goal on this not only is to get to know the kids and to see what their background is, but in essence, how they, respond to simple little questions. Because in social studies, if you know that not only are you writing written responses to whatever questions or analysis or inferences, but also how they back up their information with basic facts, right? So if they're going to share an opinion, what's your opinion based on? What sources are you actually using in order to back up the argument, back up your reasoning, and whatnot, not just giving a simple generic answer. So anyway, there's method behind the madness, right? So in that sense, after we talk about that, we go through our general work procedures, and it's the similar procedures. I mean, your kids have been in school for well over 8 years, right? So there's always some sort of procedure. So we go through the same stuff, but it's the same in regards to if we were in hybrid model or not when the kids come in. It's just find their seat, take in their materials. Now they don't have to go to their lockers because they don't have lockers, so they bring their backpacks with them, so it stays here in class. So that's a pretty convenient thing, and then they submit their homework or whatever materials in Google Classroom and do whatever do now is ready to go. So, and then, like I said, just they do their do nows. Let's continue with this. Talk about simple, assignment policies. Again, all of this is basic stuff that they've seen almost every day. But again, you go through it just to make sure that everybody understands the general procedures and whatnot. Okay. I'm going to talk about assignment policy, grading, and whatnot, and it's the same stuff. It's a district policy regarding how we're graded. I'll get to the grading in a second, but ultimately, this is the most important piece in regards to any assignment in any other classes whatsoever. Getting into obviously a really great habit of of work, getting to a habit of getting home, whatever you're doing at home, getting your assignments done and submitting them on time. But the habit piece is the most important thing that I stress with students. Habits are everything because they don't become such a problem or a hard thing to do if you're, not getting assignments done or whatever. So habits are everything. So, but the most important thing for me that I would like to share also too is this bottom line right here is the communication is key. So especially in this day and age when we actually have hybrid learning, so communication's everything. And I'm trying to get kids to not be afraid to communicate if they don't understand an assignment, especially with kids who are online, full or online during that particular day. Communication is everything. So if an assignment is not turned in, email or during class, you text, you type in the chat box that we have on our Google Meet, something to the effect of, I didn't understand the assignment. Communication is everything. It's the most important thing. I don't want the kids to be afraid to communicate with me about something they didn't know or how to do. So that's the biggest piece of it. And then here we go, grading policy. This is our district grading policy. More than anything, it's simple 80-20 split. Most of the activities of learning, like your tests and quizzes, based on the activities that we've done in class, that's always weighted as 80%. And then obviously anything else that I would put into PowerSchool regarding graded assignments with these, what we call them exit tickets. It's almost like a simple quick hit. Did you pick up everything in class? And if not, what do I need to do in order to readjust the lesson for the next day? Do I need to review stuff? That's what we call exit tickets. Do now activities are simple little things, a quick check-in to see, how you're doing so far in an assignment, whatever. So those are the typical activities for learning. And then obviously works of habit. So you'll notice that I had the All About Me Google slide activity for them, the very first one, which went into works of habit. I just want to get to know your kids better, and that's one way to get to know the kids better. So, I connect that with habits of work. You've seen this in the spring where when we went fully online, the majority of all of our grading was done of habits of work. So in essence, that's where all the assignments that I don't grade will go in to make sure the kids are actually doing the work. Then I ask the kids, obviously, any questions. And if you have any questions, just let me know. And redo retake policy, it's the same thing as the districts. We said 1 week in terms of 1 week for an assessment. You have 1 week to work. But at the same time, remember, it's a hybrid model. And I'm a little more flexible in regards to if you want to go back and redo a section on a test or if you want to redo a quiz or whatever. If we have some conflicting schedules, whatever, I'm not holding to a specific 1 week period. We will adjust it accordingly. But as long as kids come to me and talk to me and saying, I want to sit, I didn't understand this particular part, I need a review of this, that's where I have the motivation to want to help and whatever. I won't go tracking kids down. I will remind them, hey, you didn't do too well. Would you like to meet up? But other than that, it is the student's responsibility to come find me as the teacher as well too. And then obviously when you say, when do we do this? It's a lot of it would be maybe during the reach period, but a lot of times it'll be on Wednesdays. Wednesdays is that flex time. So I can schedule you with your child time on Wednesdays because those are our, at home days. A simple, Google Meet, and then we can go over to stuff that was from an activity that they may not understand or know or whatever. So Wednesdays are probably going to be the best days when we do meet up if there needs to be a redo retake or, just a simple, I didn't get something, I need to meet with you. So Wednesdays are probably the prime days to do that. So social studies in 8th grade is all U.S. history. It's the beginning of U.S. history. So we start off in the beginning of the year learning and understanding what it's like to be an actual historian. And that's kind of the theme throughout the entire school year. Students need to not just know what happened in the past, but understand that historians had used and found sources and what kind of sources those are. To understand that a historian only can rely on the sources that were available back in that particular time. So when I talk about like 9/11, 2001, the number of sources are immense because we have audio, video, you have newspaper accounts and people's firsthand accounts. But back in the 1700s, 1600s, for instance, all we had was word of mouth and journal writing and logs from sailing ships that go from one place to another, who was there, in terms of what cargo was like. But there's minimal amount back then, so it's a challenge for historians to paint the particular picture of what happened and transpired in the past. So we want kids to see how they came about that information, and by doing so, we've been doing the past couple of weeks what a historian is ultimately. So it's pretty important. And then we get into this particular year, which is our beginning of the social studies curriculum. Here, if you're looking at the first one, we touch upon explorers and colonization, but mostly we focus on the events that transpired that led up to the American Revolution. Can't just go right into the American Revolution, and we have to really give the kids context as to why it actually happened ultimately. Then we get into, once we become our actual country, once we break away and we're free, and after the revolution is over, we get into, well, we're a country now. Country means that you need a constitution, which is a general set of laws and how the government runs and so forth. And then the Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights was, in essence, a set of laws that protected our basic rights as Americans. In law, we have to put them into law. It's a governing law, and the first 10 amendments were the most important 10 amendments of our country's law era. Then we talk about the specific founding fathers in Unit 3, those people who actually crafted what we have today in regards to our country or our government. Then we get into Unit 4, which is the Jacksonian era. I call this the first modern, or when modern times really started regarding our government and our country itself. We talk about the idea of the Voting Rights Act, where you get any and all males at the time, unfortunately, but it was males, but not any landowners. It just was landowners and people in general. You had to be a male at a certain age and didn't have to be a landowner. You had a right to ultimately vote. It was pretty much the era of a common man who was involved within our country. And then we get into further, evaluation of our country, get into expanding westward expansion, the Industrial Revolution in the early mid 1800s, actually early 1800s, slavery and the path of war and Civil War itself, to the most important units I feel like we're going to be discussing this year. And ultimately, if we have time, this is a strange year. I'm hoping that we're able to get to this, but I'm pretty sure we will, is Reconstruction. After the Civil War itself, we had to, in essence, bring our country back together. So how did we actually do that? How well did we do that? And so forth. So we'll be investigating all that. So that's the social studies curriculum. Once I talked about that with the kids, got into a little bit of, when I asked the kids to do the assignment of all about me, it would be smart that I at least share with them who I am. So this is me. Let's get to know Mr. Gray. So I showed the kids this picture of all my family, and I tell them my background. This is my background. I graduated, I call it graduated from Martin Kellogg, which is, just moved on. But I went to this school system. So I was back in 1985 when I was an eighth grader, finished up there, and then Newton High School, graduated in 1989. Went to Southern Connecticut State University, got my intermediate education teacher degree back then, K-8, and I have my master's in special education, K-12. Been teaching in this district for 23 years, so it's been pretty cool and really good, actually. And these are the grades that I taught. Been all over the place, pretty much. Second and fourth grade were my student teaching days down in the Southern Connecticut area. But all fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade I've taught here at Martin Kellogg. Those are my general hobbies. I emphasize golfing because I am an avid golfer. And if you notice over here, that's me and my pop. My father and I, we were in Lake George, and that's a golf course called the Top of the Mountain, Top of the World golf course. And in the background is Lake George. So that was a cool day. It was a lot of fun. I'm actually wearing the same shirt today as I was wearing back then. It's kind of weird. So anyway, I'm a Red Sox fan, big Patriots fan. Love Patriots. Football just started. We're 1-0. Cam Newton, go rock on. Celtics and UConn. I told all the kids all this stuff too as well. This is my family here. Some nice big pictures of, like a collage of sorts that I showed the kids over here. In the middle here, there's my dad again. That's my wonderful bride, my wife. That's Janet, Mrs. Gray. There's my daughter, Sarah, and that's my little munchkin, my little man. That's Christian. Right over here. I am absolutely blessed with these kids. They're so wonderful. I could pinch myself. So anyway, started with my daughter, Sarah. She's actually a freshman in high school at Middletown High School right there. And I asked this, it looks like a big portrait, like I'm trying to display whatever my daughter, which I always would, but she just got her braces off. So that's the first smile after her braces got off, and she was pretty excited. So I was very happy for her. It was pretty cool. So that's my daughter. She's a wonderful kid. She's such a sweetheart. This is my little man. He's so fun. He's a lot of fun. He's a goofball. He's a lot like his father. We both are goofballs, and this is a younger picture of him over here. But I keep it on my slides just because that's how he is. He's such goof. I love him dearly. He loves to fish, and this is cousin, my nephew Josh, and they were on the rocks fishing. He loves to fish, plays soccer. Right now, this year is his second year in the rec league in soccer in Middletown, and he really is enjoying it. And yes, I push my kids to play golf because, why not? Because Dad loves to golf. They have a good time and they like to play too. So that's us at Lyman Orchards Apple 9. And this is my wonderful, beautiful bride of 19 years. I met my wife, Janet, at Southern Connecticut State University. We're both resident advisors there as well, too. So these are some pictures of us celebrating our anniversary. Over here to the left is a picture of a couple of years ago. That was actually Mrs. Daigle's wedding. And that was a beautiful day. So I like that picture so much of us, so I kept it there. And this is my family, my extended family. This is my mom. She passed away in 2016, but this is the wedding picture, the mother-son dance, and then it's one of my favorite pictures of us. So I took that picture. This is my brother over here left. This is Sean Gray over here. He's my younger brother. He's an awesome guy. We have a great relationship still, thank goodness. Pretty cool. This is his daughter. Her daughter, Jillian, just graduated from Wethersfield last year. She goes to Southern Connecticut State University. So she's at my alma mater. So that was pretty awesome. That was really cool to get that message when she said she chose Southern. So I was pretty honored to hear that. It was pretty cool. And this is my nephew. That's Josh. He goes to University of Rhode Island. He loves Rhode Island, and he's a big avid fisherman. So he enjoys that a lot. And he's a junior this year. I can't believe it. It's crazy. And this is what we do. We go to the beach every year. This cottage we've been renting. This is in Rhode Island. It's called Jerusalem, Rhode Island. It's right next to East Matunic, Rhode Island. And we've been renting this cottage for about 12, 13 years now. And it's just our little hideaway where we like to get away and just relax and enjoy. And that circled that actual cottage, which is right here. It's an older picture, but I was showing the kids that it's a place where we go to is pretty isolated and it's really nice. And we went to Maine, and that was a video that I was showing them. It was a picture of Forrest Gump running in the movie when he runs from the West Coast to the East Coast. The lighthouse that he runs at is right here. We actually visited that place. It's right up near Port Clyde, Maine, which is about 5.5 hours from us. So these are 3 years worth of pictures, and I had asked my kids to pose the same way every year as a fun little thing, and you can show the progression of them getting older. This is the oldest picture right here of them as well. And on our way up, we went to LL Bean, which is this picture right here with the big boot. The lobster shack that I'm standing next to here, this is McClune's Lobster Shack. It's probably the best lobster rolls in New England. It's voted by, I don't know, some magazine, but believe me when I tell you they're delicious. There's that lighthouse again I was telling you about. This was my beautiful daughter. We went to Lake George as well, and the great thing about this year is we were able to still go on these little trips to these places because we were isolated. We were near nobody. It was really, we were very fortunate and needed too, because being in this pandemic, we've been isolated in our house and hard to move around. So we were very fortunate to be able to get to places where we were isolated from others, and we were able to ultimately get out and just take a breather or two. So this is Lake George. It's a beautiful place. If you've been there, you'll know that it's amazing. It's 32 miles long, like almost 2 miles wide at the widest part, and it's just awesome. We had a really nice time there. And that's for our family. And then for those of you who don't know this, I've been involved with the drama club for a number of years, and we do teacher casts throughout the years, every 3 years. And I was Shrek one year. That was such a fun time. It was one of the Lollipop Guild members. That was great. Had a lot of fun. If you can tell over here, this gentleman, this is Mr. Peterson. He was one of the Lollipop guys as well. And behind my face here, when we did Mary Poppins, this is Mr. Jacksina. So I showed the kids Mr. Jacksina, and he laughs. The kids were laughing a lot because that's one of the with Triton or something like that in the show, and he looked a lot like Aquaman. So I made a funny picture of him. And then this is us in Mary Poppins. That was a lot of fun. So again, I tell the kids I golf a little. It's being silly. I golf a lot, actually. There's Mr. Peterson again. I golf with him as much as I can. We do a lot of golfing together. And then there's the assignment I asked the kids to do. So that's pretty much it. That's what I do. That's my introduction. If you have any questions or comments or anything you want to communicate with me, just email me, please, at sgray at npsct.org, sgray at npsct.org. Any questions whatsoever, please, by all means, just get in touch with me. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation, and have a wonderful day and a wonderful year. Your kids, by the way, are wonderful. I've had an awesome experience the past couple of weeks. I've had all of the kids logging on. And if they haven't been, they've been communicating either through other kids. They're telling me that they're having issues or whatever, but they've been communicating. So I just want you to know they're starting off on a great start. So I can't thank you enough for the support that you show us and your kids as well too. It's much appreciated, believe me. Have a good one. Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.